I was mowing my front yard, and out of the corner of my eye, I see my neighbor John walking up to me. Now, at the time, I didn't really know John, and so I was caught a little off guard as to what was going on. And what happened next was the answer to a prayer I'd been praying since going through the Discovery course, and that was, God, give me opportunities to live a life on mission. I went through the Discovery course earlier that year, and there was a whole module on living on mission. And it was through that for the first time I learned what living on mission meant and some practical ways to actually do that in my everyday life. And so I'm talking to John, and he asks me, "Are you a Christian? I noticed your car's gone on Sunday mornings and wondered if you went to church." I told him, yeah, I am a Christian, and that's what I was doing. And he began to share his life story with me. He'd been through a rough couple of years, and then to make things worse, he recently went through a breakup with his girlfriend. And I just got this feeling that he was at rock bottom. And yet, even in that, he was telling me he felt like God was working in his heart. And so I encouraged him, I prayed for him, and then we exchanged phone numbers so we could keep in touch. It was a little after that I invited John to come to Crosspoint with me. He told me that he had just recently started going to a church here in town, and so I said, well, what if we just went with each other to each other's church? And so I went with him to his, and then for a number of reasons, he was never able to come to Crosspoint with me. This kind of hit me hard. It almost felt like I had failed. I mean, I couldn't even get him to come to church with me. And I had imagined almost like we would enter into some kind of like discipleship relationship. And so when none of that happened, it felt like I'd missed an opportunity. And then to make things worse, he moved and we fell out of touch. It was about a year later that I was on Facebook and I saw this video from the church I went to with John, and to my surprise and excitement, it was John, and it was a testimony video, and he had decided to recommit his life to Christ. And it was in that I realized I was so distracted on what I thought pointing someone to Jesus would look like that I missed God working right in front of me. It also showed me that I have a limited amount of time with the people God's put in my life. And so I have to be looking and acting on each moment of influence that God's placed in front of me. Because people come and go, seasons change, and I don't want to miss a single moment that God's put